Welcome to the Rainmaker Multiplier on Demand, a podcast for leading financial professionals, or rainmakers, and their teams that offer support for securing a successful future. From marketing help to staffing structure, listen and subscribe for actionable insights from advisors and skilled professionals alike.
Hello, I'm Kirsten Schlumbohm, Vice President, Head of Annuity Sales here at C2P. Welcome to today's podcast, Transforming Your Work into Wealth Beyond Numbers. I'm excited for our guest today, Tana Kramer. Tana is a seasoned financial strategist with decades of experience helping small businesses grow profitably and sustainably. From her early beginnings at her father's glass shop to leading financial operations for multi-million-dollar brands, she's worked across a wide range of industries, from real estate and personal development to franchise operations and digital content creation. As the founder of TK Solutions, Tana provides personalized consulting, launch support, and strategic financial analysis designed to align business growth with her clients' long-term goals. Her deep operational expertise and entrepreneurial mindset make her a trusted guide for business owners seeking clarity, confidence, and lasting success. Welcome, Tana.
Awesome. Thank you so much. That was great. It's always weird to hear things about yourself, but I appreciate that your audience needs to know.
You've got a long list of accomplishments. It's impressive. So I appreciate you taking your time out of your day to talk with us, because I believe what you're going to share with us is so important to growing businesses and to seasoned professionals, new professionals, and all those that listen to this podcast. So I'm going to kick it off with our first question. You really have had a unique journey to get to where you are today. Like a lot of us, we have a fun-filled trip getting to where we are today. But could you share how you've gotten to this current role and position?
Yeah, for sure. Well, I definitely started out in an office in my dad's glass shop, and I loved answering the phone, which ironically, we don't answer the phone as much anymore, right? We do a lot of Zoom calls. But I always tell people, like, I am a problem solver or like a puzzle completer at like my baseline. I'm always looking and listening to what's happening with people. And I am like, well, I wonder if they thought about this, or I wonder if they, did this or that. And so I'm always looking for, my husband likes to tease me about the efficiency model. I'm always about the efficiency model. Like, is the picture the way that we want the picture to look? And are we getting there in an efficient way? And then I have a high degree of emotional intelligence. So I usually have a sense within the first couple of minutes of meeting somebody, like, are they loving their business? Are they not loving their business? Is it meeting them where they want them to be or not? And so I usually just start out by asking lots of questions. And so I think that's taken me really, really far. So while I didn't study to be a CPA, I have a management degree, and then I just got my hands dirty in business. And I love helping entrepreneurs figure out, it seems like there's lots of money coming in. Why is it that I'm not getting to take enough of it home? Or it feels like we're doing well in sales, but why do I feel like we can't make that next hire? And so I just use sort of my natural detective powers, I guess, to figure out what's the hole and how do we fill it?
It sounds like you come from a place of curiosity. That when you're asking these questions, you're truly invested in the person that you're talking with and asking those questions.
100%.
And I love it. I love it that you're a puzzle solver and you have emotional intelligence. Do I feel like today, those are two key traits needed in any industry. Now, of course, as advisors, and even in my role, we focus on financial metrics for both the clients as well as internally. You talk about creating wealth beyond numbers. What does that mean to you? What does that phrase mean to you?
Yeah. Well, I find that a lot of times people have a lot of money, but it doesn't always equate to happiness. And so it's not just about the dollars in your bank account or in your 401k or even in your investments. It's like, do you actually feel day to day the way that you want to feel and have your whole life feel like a profitable life? And I know that it's weird sometimes to say a profitable life, but because profitability is so geared towards did I make the money that I think I should make? But I think that, did you spend this one precious life doing things that filled you and created the legacy that you wanted to leave? And I think you have to go beyond just the bank account and the dollars and really identify, are you spending your time living your purpose, or what is lighting you up currently? Because I feel like sometimes, your purpose can be kind of vague. And so there's lots of different ways to deliver that. And so I really work with people to figure out in business specifically, do you love what you're doing? And if not, how do we get you there? Because if you're the entrepreneur, you get to make the decision about where you spend your time. You get to make the decision about how you invest your resources. And so I think that it's really important to remember that like you are in charge of all of those things. And sometimes it takes a little minute to get to those things, but having an awareness about how you want your life to feel and what you want to leave behind is the first piece. And then we can, kind of build to that if that's not where you are currently.
So you're talking about living a life of purpose, financially, professionally, personally. Because if we're just going through the motions, how does your purpose transcend what you're doing if you're just going through the motions? Because if
Right.
we don't love what we're doing, we're probably not
It
going to be
shows.
successful. We might just
Yeah.
check the boxes, but we're not living that purpose-driven life, which I feel like most people crave.
Yep,
So
absolutely. Or if you're in something and you're like, what is missing? It's probably that you're not actually fulfilling that purpose. And it may feel like it's unrelated to what you do to make money, but I don't think it has to. And I think you can always find a way to get paid for things that light you up. 100%.
I love that. Based on your definition, how can advisors apply these concepts of generating wealth beyond the numbers to both their clients as well as their own firms? Because it's not just our firm, we're also working and facing those clients and helping them achieve their dreams and retire happy.
Yeah. I mean, I think it starts with you. It starts with your internal happiness and your ability to be somebody that people want to be around. I actually tell people all the time that like nobody buys from somebody who's unhappy. Nobody buys from somebody who's unhappy. You don't want to hang out with the people who are unhappy, right? And so the first thing is to make sure that you are being led up by what you're doing, because then you're going to attract people, and then they're going to be like, "Oh, that's what you do. I need somebody who does that." And so you're going to have a very natural process if you are taking care of yourself and then sharing that with the world, sharing your gifts with the world. Because I think that people know what you do and they want to be around you. The second they need that thing, they're going to think of you. Or if their friend needs that thing, they're going to think of you. So I think it really, really starts with owning your own story and doing things that fill you up, whether that be like taking care of yourself physically, being around other people. I often tell people you need to be in the right room. If you are surrounded by people who hate their job, you need to find rooms where people love their job or love their business, and then it will multiply because you're in a room that like is breathing the energy that you want to have.
I need to be taking notes. I just love that concept. They always say, don't be the smartest person in the room. Be in the room where you can learn from the smartest people. And I love that too, because your energy is contagious. So if I'm around a bunch of unhappy people, I walk out feeling heavy. But if I'm around people that are motivated, driven, have like minds like I do, my bucket is full and I do better at the task at hand. So I absolutely love that. Now, you've also said that profitability is non-negotiable for sustainable growth. How can financial advisors strike the right balance between pursuing purpose and ensuring profit? Because that might feel like two different sides of the street to people.
Absolutely. I think profitability means that you have choices about how you invest. And so if you are struggling to see or you feel bad about being too profitable, because right, a lot of times people think that profitability means greed, and it does not. Profitability just means that you are bringing in more than you're spending so that you can decide how to invest what's left over. And so you have so much greater choice if you are building a business model that starts with profitability. It's a lot harder to go the other direction. And so for me, it's like if you have like money mindset issues around being profitable, you need to work on that, because in order to have a sustainable long-term business, you have to have profitability, or it really just it's a game changer. You run out of cash. And that's what happens to plenty of business owners, advisors or not.
I'm going to say this a lot, but I love where you bring the value and you talk about that making money is okay. And if you're having purpose and making money, you're having fun, and you can do a lot more with what you're doing and help more people, especially with what we do, and help more people get to retirement. Now, your journey is really unique. You just don't work with financial advisors. You have clients that you've had in various industries, from content creators, lifestyle brands, and more. What core principles of financial success seem to hold true regardless of what your niche is or your focus is?
Yeah. Well, for one, again, I said this a minute ago, we have to have a business model that works. That is kind of a non-negotiable. You have to be planning for the ability to make more than you spend. But what I usually do anytime I start any new role or, with a new client, I always have a foundational first step of where are you today? And like, what are your pain points? What's keeping you up at night? And what are your successes? And then we take from there and we start to build, or then we go through like the goals. Like, what are your goals? Like, where you're trying to go? What is your ideal situation? Whether this be like different business lines that you're offering, or it's ways that you can provide for your team, or different things that you can do for your client. Like, what are the other goals? And then we start to build a bridge from where you are and the pain points. How do we solve those? What are the leaks, the profitability leaks in your business? And we just start to build the bridge to where you're trying to go. And then we tweak along the way. And so those things are true for any industry. We always start with a foundation. We start about the goals, and then we ultimately build the bridge to where you're trying to go. And then it's just really, really important to know that a plan is just that. It's a plan. And there's always going to need to be adjustment to the plan. And there doesn't need to be any like shame or negativity around that, right? Like, life is gonna life always. And so business is gonna business always. And we just need to know, like, okay, cool, this happened. How do we adjust so that we're still in line with our goals? And I think that I take people through that, and then we see success because we're leading into the right things.
I'm going to ask just a spin-off question from what you were just saying. I'm a very driven person. I have big ideas. I know the small details, but I can be impatient for my own personal growth and where I see myself going. How do you help navigate someone like myself who's like, I want this, I want it now, but it's a process. It's not just instantly overnight. How would you help navigate my kind of personality, if that's okay?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So I would say that it starts with building really strong bridges so you have more options. But it's important to complete a thing so that you get the benefit of the thing.
Mm-hmm.
And so sometimes we have to be like, yes, absolutely, we can do that. Here's the trigger point that I think we should do it. Or we abort and we move on and we go to a new thing, but just know what the ramifications are. So I try really hard to tell people that you're going to get the most benefit if you stay in a spot and fully complete the bridge before jumping to the next one. But it's your business, it's your life. We can make a jump. Just know what the consequences of that. And usually the consequences are we spent money that we are not going to ever get to see the return on that investment. And so usually that will help people to be like, oh, right, we can take another minute and maybe we sprinkle in. We can still chase that other thing. Like, we can start the design process for that second bridge, but we still need to just stay the course on this one so that we can get that return on that investment. And so a lot of times it's just having those conversations to say, sure, you can do whatever you want. And here's some of the consequences. Is that really what you want to do? And usually they can circle back around to, well, you're right, we should finish that.
I love the bridge reference, because if you think about a bridge being built across the mighty Mississippi or whatever river, all the parts have to be there in place, solid, to get to one side to the other, and not have it break down with all the cars on it. So I do love the bridge reference. And I do love that you're managing expectations, that you can say, absolutely, you can do this, but let's talk about if we don't add these parts to the bridge, what that might mean for your business. So I love it that you manage expectations as well, because people like myself, we have big ideas. We love moving forward.
Absolutely.
I don't like to fail. So I would stop and go, that makes sense. Let's work on this. And then we'll skip ahead when it's time. So that's great. I'm, for my own personal portfolio and in my head, you're speaking to me right now. So I appreciate that. How would you recommend advisors use tools such as burn rate and cash volatility, not just for their clients, but to assess the health and growth of their own efforts?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, burn rate is really important. You need to know what you spend month over month, what you need to have in the bank, what you need to have in reserve. So you need to know that number. And then you need to know what levers that you can push and pull if things get lean. So If you typically spend, let's just say 20,000 because it's easy, $20,000 a month, if that's your burn rate, but you have a couple $1,000s that you could cut back, then you just need to know what those are so that if things start to go sideways, you can be like, okay, it's time to pause that thing. So knowing the number, knowing what levers to pull, really important. And then as far as cash volatility, I think that the best thing that you can do for cash volatility is have a bunch of it in the bank when stuff's going sideways. And so I know savings is not necessarily every entrepreneur's dream, but it, again, gives you so many choices when things are going crazy. So whether that be you've got a great opportunity that you can maximize. If you have the cash, you can make that choice. Almost no brainer. If we're in a tricky time in the market, or if everyone's scared to spend money, if you have some in the bank, you're not afraid to spend money, and you're going to help to create some of the good economic energy that we need to make that happen. So I think that again, cash volatility is have money, have a plan for saving that profitability, so that you have all of the choices when things are sideways. I know that during the pandemic, there was plenty of businesses that went out of business because even though there was access to like PPP loans and EIDL loans and such, they did not have the financial infrastructure in place to produce those financials so that the bank could give them money. And the bookkeepers and accountants of the world were like, all of a sudden, everybody loves us, and we could only do so much. And so building the sort of stable foundation of your financial outlook on the day-to-day, just like small habits, right? How do you stay in shape? You go for the walk or go for the run every day, right? And so the same thing is true of entrepreneurship. And I think too that people forget that there are laundry and dishes of business that we all have to do. We don't have to love them, but we do have to do them, or hire somebody to do them. And so keeping your financial house in order and knowing those numbers is going to be the pretty key piece, when things are sideways.
So what I'm hearing you say is that based on the terms we use here at C2P, we build bucket plans for our clients. So as a business, we should be building a bucket plan for our business where we're now bucket with our cash and money in the bank, or soon bucket for the next 10 years of expenses or plans that we have, and then a later bucket for the sustainability of the business. So absolutely. I love that. And one thing you said, whether it's your financial plan or it's your health plan or your lifestyle plan, it's the sum of all your small efforts that build into big things, making 100%. You more successful in whatever journey you're on, whether it's your professional, personal journey. So I love that. You help entrepreneurs align their business with their lifestyle goals. Speaking of lifestyle, what advice would you give to the advisors who feel successful on paper, but out of alignment with the day-to-day? Because the work-life balance is important. We have the business, we have a family, we have friends, we have goals, but sometimes it does feel out of alignment. How do you help with that?
Yeah. Well, first of all, it's like a gut check. Are you in the place that you want to be? And if you're not, how can we get there? And a lot of times what I like to ask people is, let's not talk about any of the logistics or the hows, but if you could do anything, what would it be? And what does your life look like, right? So that's as comprehensive as when you get up in the morning, what do you do? Where do you go? When you come home, who do you come home to? And what does the day-to-day lifestyle look like? And if it's really, really out of alignment, then we need to start to figure out, how can we find small tweaks towards that other direction? And so maybe that's getting up an hour earlier and, doing the thing that you love for an hour. Maybe it's like once a quarter, you take a day and a half and you go do the thing. Like, how can we sprinkle in the thing that you really want to be doing? Because again, everyone's got laundry and dishes, but you should also be able to find some level of, this is what lights me up, and this can one day be the real thing or the moneymaker thing, so that you're moving your life into the direction of fulfillment and a fully lit up life. Yeah. So again, starts with just like a check.
I love that. But I also believe in time blocking for myself, because when I don't do certain things for myself, I'm not the best partner to my husband. I'm not the best daughter to my parents. I'm not the best leader to my team. So I block out my training with my personal trainer on Wednesdays. I block out my runs on Tuesday, Thursdays, and Saturdays. Even on the weekends, I have time blocked out to do the things that keep me aligned with myself. And I think we get lost in our journey of success to take care of ourselves and be the best, not only for our company, but for the people that we love in our lives. So I love that.
Absolutely. I love a weekly check of, hey, here are my goals. Does my calendar reflect my goals? And again, if not, adjustment required, right? And I think too, we often get really attached to the timeline with goals. And sometimes that can be tricky, right? Because sometimes the season is I'm raising kids. The season is, that is a defined season, right? So while you're also, doing great things in your, professional life, you sometimes have to understand that like, it's going to be really flowy. And so if we can let go of a little bit of the time restriction that can happen there, not necessarily the time blocking, because I totally agree with that, but the like, I should get to this goal by X period of time. Sometimes that can get you in trouble because your kids get sick or because, you have like a recital to go to or what. And so it's tricky to navigate that. And so as long as we can be flexible with some of those things and know that we're going to keep moving toward it, we're going to keep adding those small bits of time towards the end goal. But if we have to move the goal by a week, it's not a big deal. Right.
As a recovering perfectionist, I 100% agree with you on that because as you said earlier, life happens. And I mean, I have not run in 2 weeks to be candid. I've caught a cold. I've been traveling, but in my heart, I'm running, but I'm not beating myself anymore because I learned to give myself grace because my goals are my goals. And I know it makes me a better person, but when I don't give my grace, I would give you, it affects me. So I think that's so important. So thank you for sharing that. It's like, I feel like I'm talking with my best friend here. Thank you. Now, advisors wish to scale their practice and grow their business within their firm, but may need to balance that out because they're going to have their freedom and the personal goals as well. What are some steps that they could take to create a growth strategy that honors both their professional and their personal lives?
Well, I think leaning into unique ability and having people help you with things that are not your unique ability is going to free up your time, energy, and just like your mind to be able to be more efficient with the time that you do have. Because again, when you're doing something that's in unique ability, things like everything clicks. You're all in flow, right? And so invite people who it's their unique ability to do some of the things that you probably shouldn't be doing with your time because you're going to get further faster and you're going to be more present in all of the places that you need to be. So I'd encourage you to like invite in help. Plenty of people want to work for just 10 hours a week or 20 hours a week. Like there is a fit for everybody has a need and there's a fit for you. You just need to go in search of that and be okay with letting go of some of the things, which is actually what I usually find people struggle with.
So you said something interesting to me. And I'm going to again, take us a little bit deeper into what you just said. Free up time, strategically leverage people. Let's say I have a team and I'm struggling to free up my time, how do you help somebody that has a team that they're not leveraging the strengths as well? Do you have an exercise that you work with them on? Or how do you help them really hone in? Do they have the right people in the right seats? Are they leveraging the right talent? And what can they delegate and comfortably delegate?
Yeah, I mean, I don't have a specific formula, but I definitely start with asking the question. Sometimes it's as simple, especially if I have a relationship with the person, like, are you sure so-and-so can't do that? Or a lot of times I'll look at some of the data points, right, the financial data points and say, hey, it looks like we might be not having the best utilization with the team. Like maybe we're having too many meetings and we're not necessarily letting people focus, or maybe there's a morale issue. And so we need to address that. And so a lot of times I'm using the data points in addition to like who I learn that they are, right? Because if I learn that they're going to probably control things and they're going to get real like in the weeds, and if they're the CEO, I'm going to be like, hey, let's come back out and then let's figure out what resources you have. So sometimes it's as simple as just asking a couple of questions and leading them to, oh, you're right, I should not be doing that. So there's just an awareness that usually gets created. But I think too that everybody, like they think what they think, and so sometimes there's a little bit of mindset work that has to go. And so again, shining a light on something, asking good questions, and then usually providing some level of data to support will help people to open their horizons to what else could be possible to free up themselves.
I'm sure it's really challenging too when you're working with high-driven, high-performing individuals. I'm sure you hear this, well, nobody else does it like I do it. Nobody else
Yeah.
knows my plan. But that's a really great opportunity to be like, hey, let's help you unpack that and find who you can delegate the right things to, because
Yeah.
we may tend to hoard or hang on
Mhm.
to
Yeah.
things which could be delegated to highly talented individuals. So I'm sure.
Like sometimes 80% done. If somebody else does 80% and you come in with the last 20 to like perfect or make it yours, like that's still a win. There's 80% of that time you weren't doing it and you were doing something else, which again, I'm going to lean into hopefully is revenue producing or energy fulfilling.
My mind is just going because I'm like revenue producing or energy fulfilling, but they can be the same thing. They can be together.
Absolutely.
And that's why I love the industry that we're in, because we get the opportunity every single day to help people march towards retirement. But are we working at a full capacity, or are we holding on to things that we could help empower other team members to grow,
Oh yeah.
and that would grow the business?
Absolutely. They might be so excited. They're like waiting for you to let go of that so that they can help you in that way or so that they can do the thing that lights them up that you've been holding on to. Yeah.
I love that. I'm going to bring that back. I'm like, what lights you up? What is your heck
What
yes?
lights
What
you
is your heck no? Let's work on the
up?
strengths. Let's grow together so we can have higher revenue and more happy days in the office or
Absolutely.
fulfillment.
And here's the thing, circling back to team member, if you don't have anyone in your team that you feel like could do the thing, that there isn't alignment, there isn't a heck yes person to do that task, then let's figure out how to get that person on the team because you need people who are like heck yes about the things that need to be done in the business to move it forward.
I love it. I love it. As we're wrapping up our time together, are there any last pieces of advice that you'd like to share or any best practices on traveling on this journey that you take advisors on or take entrepreneurs on?
Yeah. I think that the biggest takeaway always is you get to decide exactly what you do in your business. And so if it doesn't feel in alignment, let's look at it because it could be a couple of small tweaks that gets you back into the, oh my gosh, I love to get up and do what I do feeling again. And if you already have the I love what I do feeling, how do we get you to the next goal, right? The next level, whether that be scaling your business or doing something new personally, like how do we get you to that next goal? And so it always starts with, what do you want to be doing? Because I can't do that for you. Nobody can do that for you, right? Nobody can decide what's important to you and what the end goal is. And so know that, and then invite people in to help you get there.
I love that. Having a purpose-filled life or a purpose-driven life in both your career and personal, and when they can align, you make so much magic and you can
So
make
much
great
magic.
things happen. Tana, you are delightful. Thank you so much for sharing with us today because you've inspired me to look at what I'm doing on the day-to-day and what can I do better? Who can I empower? And how can we have a purpose-driven relationship in financial services? So thank you for taking the time with us today. I know that when you give us your time, you're not in front of the people that you are helping and doing what you do best. So thank you so much for spending time with us today.
I love to give back in that way. And, again, any conversation that is sparking a light bulb in someone else is amazing. That's actually one of the things I love about a podcast, right? Like how many times do we just listen to it? All of a sudden, it might even be the thing they say, but it sparks something new. And so that's why I do these things. Like it's so good to help spark a new idea in a person that might change their life.
And it's so funny. People probably can't see me taking notes and writing down key points, but thank you for inspiring me today. And I hope all those that are listening, you find some nuggets in here that you can drive a purpose-filled life as well. So thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for tuning in. This podcast was brought to you by C2P, an organization whose purpose is to educate, train, grow, and support holistic financial advisors so families can achieve true prosperity. Never miss an episode by subscribing now to discover new resources and strategies. Visit c2penterprises.com to learn how we can help scale and secure your business. At the time of delivery and any subsequent publishing, information was deemed reliable, but is subject to change by the time of listening or viewing. The contents of this piece include options and projections of C2P, are subject to change, and are for informational purposes only. The information provided in this presentation is not intended to be individual investment, tax, or legal advice.